What a call from the man who has truly seen it all during his time in Bloomington, the voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fisher, joining us a couple of days after Indiana, one of the most unlikely national champions in the history of college sports, period. Don, what has life been like for you since Monday night?
Well, that was more emotional for me tonight or today than it was when I did it, actually. Honestly, it's been phenomenal.
Okay.
So much fun. So many people want to talk to you. So many people want to interview you. And after all the years of frustration here in Indiana from a football perspective and the struggles that they've had through the years, it's just spectacular. It's so much fun to be a part of this whole thing.
You are a professional first and foremost, and as we listen to the call from Monday night, I know you are trying to give the listeners the best call possible, but the emotions did have to be creeping in after all you've seen from Indiana and all the frustration. Championship. How did you balance your own personal emotions with making the best call that you could on what you saw on the field?
Well, Rick, as you know, if you do play-by-play, from a radio perspective, it is all spontaneous. It's all ad-lib. If you can write things down and all that kind of stuff, and then as soon as the game plays on, you know that you've got to just describe the action and your feelings as best you can. And obviously, I was elated with what happened in this football game, number one, because they won it. But I've been that way for the last 2 years. I've been that way with Curt Cignetti as our head coach. It's just been a remarkable, astonishing. There are not enough adjectives to describe what Indiana football has become since that man has become our head coach.
We did ask you, Don, over the course of the season, and I believe it was before the CFP run began, what word you would use to describe what Curt Cignetti has done. And you used the term renaissance, and I thought it was brilliant. But now with a national championship in Bloomington, how would you describe it?
Surreal. It's just special. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. I'm supposed to be a wordsmith, and I don't have the words to describe the feelings of the fan base, of the people that have been involved in this program for years and have dealt with all the frustrations and the losing and close but not close enough, those kinds of feelings. And I've said this numerous times in interviews, Rick, at this point. The people that I'm happiest for in this whole thing are the fan base that stuck with Indiana through the years, the guys that bought season tickets, the guys and gals that bought season tickets year after year and sat there in frustration when Indiana couldn't get it done. All those kinds of things played into it in such a big way. I just feel so great for the Hoosier Nation that stuck with Indiana through the years. And I feel good about the bandwagon people that have jumped on here at the end, too, because everybody's been wanting this for so long that was an alum or a fan of Indiana athletics, but it just didn't seem like it was ever going to happen, especially in my 53 years here, and all of a sudden it has happened, and it's euphoric.
The bandwagon arrived in Atlanta. I was there for the Peach Bowl, and the entire city was cream and crimson. It was one of the craziest scenes that I have ever seen. From the fans, Don, let's talk about the players. As you got to know the players on this roster, I'm curious as to what you thought the golden thread was that connected them all, because this was truly, and I know sometimes this is overused, but this was truly a team in the truest sense of the word.
That's absolutely the right way to phrase it, because it was a team. It's a team accomplishment. Indiana's not as talented as some of the teams that they played this year, without question. I mean, Oregon, Ohio State, Alabama, all these blue bloods, so to speak, have such great backgrounds, traditions, and they get great players. Indiana has gotten the players in the last 2 years that Curt Cignetti felt could fix Indiana football. And he does it in a different way, probably than a lot of coaches. He doesn't look at stars or any of those kinds of things. He just goes about looking at guys' character. Number one, if you're going to be in Indiana, you've got to have the right character. You've got to have the right mindset. You've got to be coachable. And you have to, if you're coming from the portal, he generally and you've got to have a lot of experience. You've got to have experience, not necessarily as a starter, but a guy that's played a lot of football. And all the things, that's the thing about Rick, that this program's so different than it used to be. The guy that's in charge, Curt Cignetti, is the smartest guy I've ever been around from a football perspective, and basically how to go about running a program. And I know he gives a lot of credit to Saban for the running aspect of it, to the running of a program aspect of it. But I just think he's a brilliant coach and just really knows the game. Number one, he grew up in it with his dad being a head coach and obviously a Hall of Famer himself. And Curt Cignetti's become a Hall of Famer. There's no doubt what he's done in the 2 years here at Indiana will put him in the College Football Hall of Fame because it's been remarkable.
I agree. It is the greatest coaching job to me in the history of any sport that I've ever covered in my 30-plus year career. Now, I've had friends say to me as they watch Fernando Mendoza do his post-game interviews, the way he spoke at the Heisman, they say, this can't be real. This has to be an act, right? And I say, guys, I'm telling you, this kid could not be more genuine. It's exactly who he is. That's why the team follows him the way that they do. What have been your favorite moments specifically in covering Fernando this year?
Well, I can tell you when they won the Big Ten championship, beat Ohio State, and that interview that he did after that ball game with the gal that was on the field, I just started smiling. I couldn't believe how excited he was. He was literally crying at the same time he was laughing, and it was so cool. And that's genuine. There's no question about that. And he is a genuine young man. He says all the right things, but he believes all the things that he says, and that's what's great about him. And some people think he's a little nerdy and that kind of stuff. I just think he's a young man that was really raised the right way, great parenting. And then, of course, he's had great coaching along the way, and nobody's done a better job with him than Curt Cignetti has.
And he's going to be the #1 pick in the NFL draft. Don, you have been calling Indiana men's basketball and football games since 1973, so this is so unique. You have now seen and called the last undefeated national championship season in both basketball and football. Yes, different sports, different eras. How, for you, did they compare and contrast?
Well, the comparison, a lot of what Curt Cignetti brings to the table is what Bob Knight brought to the table. Preparation, critical. You've got to do it the right way. There's no in between. There's nothing you can do except it's got to be done right. And of course, I think Curt and Bob are different in personalities and those kinds of things, but they believe the same things, and both looked at tons of film to vet players coming in, and they wouldn't take the guy if he wasn't the right fit. And that's another big comparison with Indiana basketball under Bob Knight. And so stars and all those kinds of things never came into it. And if you remember, Rick, I know you're younger than I, but I'm sure you remember that Bob Knight, his criteria was, you've got to be able to fit what we do and what we want to do, and then you've got to be coachable. And I think Curt Cignetti's identical in that regard.
All right, Don, finally, when you do decide to step away from the microphone and you've called your last Indiana game and you ultimately start to look back and think about this past season of Indiana football, what do you think will resonate with you the most?
I think just the fact of the fan base. Again, I think I always think about the fans and the people that you're broadcasting to that listen and love what they hear, those kinds of things. But I think the whole thing boils down to this, Rick. I've been able to do what I love to do, play-by-play, whether it was win or lose or ties or whatever. I've been able to do that for my entire career as an adult. And nobody's been more blessed than I.
A life well lived and very well said. Don Fisher on the call for Indiana's national championship, as he has been for football and basketball for the last 50-plus years. Don, a pleasure to catch up. Keep enjoying this championship, and I do hope you get a little bit of sleep coming up over the course of the next couple of weeks.
Rick, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
And as the party continues in Bloomington, our Big Ten Network coverage of the Hoosiers will be there for the official Indiana Football National Championship celebration. It comes your way live from Bloomington this Saturday, 1 Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, only on the Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app. And yet there is no need to wait for more Hoosier championship coverage. IU linebacker